we always begin with Manipur because it needs our utmost attention. It requires, it is a sensitive time. It's almost going to be 2 months of chaos and conflict. And yesterday we were looking at how the Kuki and the tribal body had dissented the peace panel over there. Now we're learning that one person has been killed in Manipur, and this is something that has been covered in the first the front page of the Indian Express. One more killed. Both Meitei and Kuki groups now say will stay away from peace panel.
Well, that I was yesterday saying, no, you started off on the wrong foot. If people were not consulted, the peace panel, 51 members who were constituted into that peace panel, it looks like it has started off as a child that is yet to take off. So what we understand right now is that it has become difficult because one, there was lack of consultation, another with issues of people, certain people being in that panel, and they have been vocal about this, and 3 groups representing various ethnic communities have decided to in fact boycott it. I would take you to the Hindu first, because the Hindu says that the Assam CM has placed the centre's peace plan before Kuki insurgent groups. What is being said is that the Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma on Sunday met the Kuki militant offering them a peace plan on behalf of the union government. The armed groups had signed a suspension of Operation SO pact with the centre and the Manipur government in 2008 for political settlement of their demands for self-governance. Now, what is being said over here is this is what the plan looks like. In the meeting that was held in Guwahati, plan is to deploy central forces in zones between Kuki and Meitei settlements. So, some of those areas where the populations are interspersed, in Imphal area or at the foothills, and these are the areas where we find the population interspersed. So in those areas, we will have the deployment of central forces in zones between Kuki and Meitei settlements. That is the actual plan that is being pushed into it. But however, we know that there is a peace committee that was formed, and you had the committee being the 51-member committee not being looked into the way it was supposed to have been looked into, and a lot of people were surprised that were even nominated. Some of them took it positively, okay, let's start a peace process, but some of them were surprised that you need to consult me before you put my name on that list. Here, interestingly enough, the committee nominees is what a small headline that's been given by the group. It says that the influential coordinating committee or Manipur, the Kokumi, a civil society group in Info, also withdrew from the peace committee, which means that Meiteis or Kukis, none of them are happy with the peace committee that has been put in place. So it needs to be reworked right now, so that peace committee is very crucial when it comes to dialogue, and for that you need some kind of trust as well.
Interestingly, amid the continuing violence, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, he has appealed for peace. He said that we understand that people across the state are reeling under untold hardship due to the present crisis, but it is about time to take a step back and give peace a chance. Let us not be driven by emotion. Let the government handle the situation. I mean, what do you make out of this call by the Chief Minister?
The peace process is welcome. I mean, the peace call for appeal for peace is welcome, Kabir. But the fact remains is that it's not a normal situation on the ground. Every leader has been appealing, from the Home Minister to the Congress leaders to the BJP leaders and Biren Singh himself. But on the ground, it is not translating into what I would say some kind of a concrete measure. We were talking about a civilian being killed. Now we understand it's a tribal man who was shot by some miscreants, and this has again shattered that 48-hour of violence-free kind of a situation that was there in Manipur for the last 48 to 56 hours. That has been shattered with this kind of, it's being said that a 22-year-old man was shot dead in Manipur's Churachandpur district as the area witnessed fresh bout of ethnic violence that had claimed over 100 lives which started from May 7th onwards. So that is also a concern right now. So in Manipur, it is a very tricky situation. You have a peace panel, you have the groups also putting in. There is the Assam Chief Minister has proposed a peace proposal to them, the question about separate administration, so many things coming in. Meantime, when all this is happening, Kabir, there is an interesting story in that is coming in from the Hindu again. Manipur drug kingpins have ties with leaders. This is the Hindu's report. I'll just read some excerpts out of it. Organizations of Kuki, Zomi, Mar, representing the different tribes, have been supporting the Manipur government's campaign to clear poppy fields in hill districts of the state. a body of Manipuri tribals in Delhi has submitted before the Supreme Court of India, alleging that the drug trade in the state is largely controlled by a nexus of drug kingpins who are close to top politicians. This has something interesting that's come out of Manipur, where the representative group of ethnic communities have decided to approach the Supreme Court on the poppy cultivation issue in Manipur. So it is going to be quite interesting development in the entire Manipur situation. In an interlocutory application, IA filed by the Manipur Tribal Forum Delhi before the Supreme Court, the body also argued that the state government has been seen allegedly thwarting attempts to uncover their nexus and sought that investigative reports prepared by the senior police officer in this regard be brought to record. So let us see what it's going to be all about, because this in fact shows that the poppy cultivation factor is also huge, and there's a lot of politics that's being played on the poppy cultivation factor as well, Kabir.
Well, I mean, the poppy cultivation factor has been at the forefront of this particular chaos from day one. But even as the Chief Minister now says that, you know, let's take a step back, isn't this taking more than 2 steps back? However, groups representing both Kuki, Zomi and Meitei communities expressed a lack of faith in the leadership and said that they would not participate in the deliberations of the peace panel. The recently formed core committee on separate administration, which includes MLAs representing Kuki Zomi communities and tribal bodies such as the Kuki Inpi Manipur, the Zomi Council and the Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, issued a directive on Monday stating that no CSOs, which are civil society organizations, tribal bodies and individuals shall participate in the peace committee. So that peace committee essentially looks like it's crumbling.
Well, that is the main issue that we are looking at, because this peace panel was a probability of getting all the stakeholders on a proper platform and let the dialogue process happen. Probably look at these peace plans that have been offered by the center as well. But I don't know, it seems that it is becoming very difficult on a large part because of the trust issues that this peace panel could actually take off. I hope whatever the requisition that is required on the part of the peace panel to carry out what are the kind of activities they will have to carry out, I hope they are able to do it, because already it seems that it's a divided house. And if you don't have all the major communities on that peace panel or having confidence in the peace panel, it doesn't work out, Kabir.
Well, where is this headed? I mean, this essentially seems like anybody's guess right now. Again, you know, reading ahead on that same excerpt, it says even the Kokomi, an umbrella body of Meiteis, Meitei CSOs,
yeah. They have also
whose chief coordinator is also a member of the committee, expressed displeasure over its composition. It said it would not participate because, quote unquote, it is not the right time to join the committee. What do you mean it's not the right time to join the committee? When is it going to be the right time to join the peace committee of Manipur? And those questions that were being raised, that, you know, the composition and the design of the peace committee is something that is raising eyebrows. It is questionable. You've got both sides here that are actually dissenting on the ground, that are part of embroiled in this conflict. Both are saying that there is compositional problems. So there might be compositional problems. So how about you change the composition? But for any community to come out and say it's not the right time to join the peace committee.
Well, there is no right time or wrong time to join the peace committee, because right now Manipur is in a situation where it cannot further spiral into a cycle of violence. The economic damage has been done. People estimate saying around 349 relief camps, 50,000 people displaced. It's not great that you have a large displaced population and there is so much of trust deficit. A lot of businesses have been burned down, a lot of houses have been burned down. People have to go rebuild their lives, and it's going to take time, it's going to take money. If the peace process doesn't start as soon as possible, we are going to see the hardship of the people being prolonged for the coming days as such. So whichever organizations are there, whoever are there, they have to be on the peace panel. If they have a problem with the composition, speak it out, get it done, but this peace panel has to go forward. It has to in fact move forward in a manner that would be able to show some signs of peace on the ground. So it is important it moves forward right now, Kabir, because dialogue is the only way forward.
But more importantly, isn't it interesting that the Chief Minister has come out, he's spoken on the separate administration bit. He said that give peace a chance.
Yeah,
How long will that go? And will that word of concern, of actual worry trickle down in the Kuki Zomi community?
well, it could trickle down, but the fact remains is that, like most of the cookies have been saying that the emotional divide is already there. Geographically, also the divide is kind of in place right now because of the displacement of populations and among that foothill region, which is considered now to be the de facto kind of a place where you can identify which community is on that side or this side. So the question now is that if that is to be the reality that people have to face, then they will have to go ahead and ensure that at least the talking process starts. If this is giving you the kind of security that you want, the talking process should start, and probably keeping the integrity of Manipur in place, the cookies would be able to get some concessions with regard to the talks that could happen further.
It seems
But
so
first, the
far-
talk should happen. That's the thing. The point is the talk should happen.
It seems right from the beginning, the demands of the people and what they're actually, asking for, raising their voice and actually hitting down the streets, peaceful protests that began all of this, cycle of violence. They've been demanding president's rule. Do you think the president's rule is going to be helpful in this situation?
Well, the president's rule will. What does
I
the
mean,
president do? It puts
we've seen 40, 50 days of violence now, haven't
yeah.
we?
See, the president's rule will only result in suspension of the local assembly, the state administration, as directed by the state government. Probably the people who are asking for that is worried that the state administration is using the state bureaucracy and other things against them, and that is why they want it to be suspended in the hands of the center. But suspension right now would only trigger more animosity on the ground, because anyway the center is looking after the security of the state and providing the security on the ground. So right now the thing is that they have to start talking, and if you have an issue with the peace panel, get it sorted out, iron the differences out and go. There is no other option but to talk. There is no other option but dialogue. That's the only way to go forward. And we can't let this kind of violence keep going on for quite some time now. It started in May 3rd, Kabir. There are so many issues. There are a lot of people who are still missing, and we don't know whether they are alive or that whether they are dead. A lot of bodies are still unclaimed in mortuaries. So it is a very, I think the dead have to be given a dignified burial or cremation as according to the rights of a person or the beliefs of that person. I think they require that dignity which we have to do.
All right, before we move on to other stories, there are several, interesting stories that we'd like to share with the viewers on page 1 today. Before we move on from Manipur, yesterday the Congress held a press conference, and the Congress had demanded for two things. It had asked for the Prime Minister to break his silence on the Manipur issue, and number two, an all-party delegation be sent to Manipur. Coming back to those 2 points, do you think the Congress has played its cards right in this situation? And away from politics, will an all-party delegation really help?
Well, an all-party delegation might help in trying to, but the influence of an all-party delegation, because the prominent parties over there are, the BJP and the Congress. So they are the ones who can do something on the ground. But it will give a larger perspective or maybe ideas for peace within the state of Manipur. But the Congress has also, in fact, said that right now the violence has to be brought down, and they have, of course, in that press conference also raised those issues as to why it is not still controlled after almost more than a month and with so many people dead. So they have raised that issue as such, but right now it's not about finger pointing at anyone. It is about trying to bring peace on the ground, Kabir.
Absolutely, because this is not your problem, my problem. It's everybody's problem. It's the nation's problem. It is a burning point, and